Some folks in Monroe County say sometimes you just don't know what's going on next door. One man is now in custody after deputies found more than 50 animals living in terrible conditions at a house on Smith Street.
Sheriff's office says the animals were all in rough condition. Several were found dead. Jessica Cha tells us more.
The odor was just awful. The dogs were covered in their own feces.
Sheriff Brad Freeman says this was the horrific scene a deputy found while investigating a complaint of malnourished dogs in a yard.
He heard some barking coming from a van that had no ventilation. Some animals were locked in there. Then you had other in cages in the house.
Freeman says the county's animal services removed 51 animals, including 5 dead dogs and 1 reptile. Now comes the job of caring for dozens of survivors.
They farmed out some of the animals to other rescue shelters in the area to try to, find these animals homes and obviously, get these animals recuperated.
Freeman says 2 people were living in the home. He calls this a breeding situation turned wrong.
Maybe grooming some of these animals. I believe it just overwhelmed her. I believe they were in the process of being evicted from the house.
The sheriff's office and the property owner asked us not to film on the property where the 51 animals were being held. However, neighbors say that they had no idea that something like this was happening next door.
I was worried about it because you'd hear a lot of dogs.
Caitlin Atkins just moved in 2 months ago. She said she'd hear dogs of different sizes barking, but didn't know where they were.
It's around 8 o'clock at night and you'd hear them. Whenever somebody would drive by, they'd start barking.
Atkins says she has 2 dogs herself, and this makes her sick.
To be locked in a vehicle, even though it's February, it's hot outside right now. That's not right.
Melissa Brooks says her son called the sheriff's office about the dogs.
I don't know if they were in the yard or in the street, but he said they could count their ribs, so they decided to call.
Brooks says she works with dogs every day, and it takes time for them to look so skinny.
And if you have a healthy dog, it can take weeks.
Freeman says they're still looking for 2 women in the case. In Forsyth, Jessica Cha, 13 WMAZ News.
Investigators say they believe 4 dead dogs found recently in a ditch 2 miles away are connected to that house. If you suspect neglect or abuse in your neighborhood, you should call your local animal control agency or 911 if it's an emergency. The Humane Society says if you do make a report, the responding agency is required to investigate. You should include dates, times, and specific details, photographs if possible. You can make the report anonymously. Anyone with information on the case in Monroe County or information about the suspects who are still on the run should call 911 or your sheriff's office.